your previous, or you can even start it off with your current role, the responsibilities that you had and the focus that you have, or even a major like recent responsibility, and then you can go back to your past, the uh, highlights that you had from it, the skills that you developed as an intern here at the port. And I know you said, like, when you were an intern, you talked about building trust in order to get a full time role. Sort of talk about that. And you're pitching yourself and you're selling yourself for the role essentially.
Okay.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what Lance said, Angel.
Yes.
Definitely making sure, because you have been here, that's great, right? So
Yeah.
we like to see that, highlighting that chronological of you started as an intern. I don't know if you were a civil engineering, associate or assistant first, whatever one you went to, just kind of highlight each place you went in that,
Okay.
right? So it could be, I started as and you don't have to give a lot of detail for each piece, because this is, if you're interviewing for a management role, we want you to highlight the things that are going to make you a good leader. Because right, usually that first question is, tell me about yourself and why you're interested in this role, right? The specific role. So you could give a quick synopsis of everything. So from an intern to an associate to a civil engineer to a senior civil engineer, which if that's what you are currently, and then that's when you go into my current role as a senior civil engineer. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm highlighting any major projects you're working on, any leadership opportunities, whether it's leading team or leading projects. Highlight those things, because you have to think like a manager, right? Think about for the role that you are interviewing for. So if you're interviewing for a management position or a leadership position, those are the things we want to highlight, right? And like he said, the things about building trust and how you work with other people, summarize that. Because those are the things that they're looking for in those type of positions. So don't belabor so much of the little small stuff, right? You have to think on a larger scale, because you're interviewing for a more leadership focused position. So anything you're talking about, you want to highlight how you're able to lead and how you're able to move forward in that, and how you work with other people in any of your answers, because those are the things they're going to be looking for management. Because we know you can do the technical piece, right?
Yeah.
You've been here. You're an
Yeah.
engineer. You've done this. And it's good definitely to highlight. You going to school, getting your PE and all of that. Great. Talk about that, but highlight the things that are going to make you stand out for the specific position that you're going to be interviewing for. Okay.
Okay.
But again, chronological is the easiest way. So even if you have to bullet your stuff out, so it doesn't feel like you're rambling and we don't get lost, because it's a story.
Yeah.
You don't want people to get lost. You want to be concise and clear. Like, oh, okay, you started as an intern, you did this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Now you're doing this. Then highlight a big project or something that you're working on and you have worked on. So, okay, that makes you stand out. Think of it like that to try to summarize it and
Okay.
tighten it up with a little bow.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
So I know you said kind of start, so it's okay to start from start to kind of how I am in my current role, right? Because I know
Yeah.
Lance said like you can start with as a senior and then kind of work that way, but it'd be better, I mean, start from.
It depends on how you go ahead, Lance.
It really does depend.
Okay.
Like you could start off with your like, my name, because the reason why I wanted to advise it is because you also don't want to go in too casual. You want to come in professional. You want to act as if you don't know this panel.
Exactly.
Even though your panel might be your team, it might be people you know within the industry.
Okay.
But you want to start off with who you are, essentially, because
Yeah.
from there I wasn't able to even gauge what your current role was to begin with, and so that's why you kind of want to state. My name is Angel Palma. I'm a senior civil engineer for the construction management division, and then
Okay.
go into your intro and
Got
start
it.
from that chronological order.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. Because he's right in that. You never said that. You just said, I got a full-time job it's implied because we work here
Yes.
and we know the progression,
Yeah.
right? But you want to state that. 'Cause
Okay.
going into these interviews, especially internal, it's a little tricky because you know these people a lot of the
Yeah.
times. It's like, well, you know what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't want to go into it like that. You want to act like these are complete strangers and sell yourself because other people might. You got to think about your competition. It's a competitive position. So other people are going to come in and sell themselves from A to Z, right?
Yes.
But you have to be able to do that in a concise way that's not too like, okay, you're losing us, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Okay.
definitely state what you do and then kind of lay out the foundation of how you got there.
Okay. Quick question on that. So I know I kind of went in. I started as an intern, then I transitioned over to a full time position, right? I did go from like an assistant, right, civil assistant, and then once I got my PE, I earned my PE. I jumped my assistant to straight to a civil engineering. So that's kind of a pretty good dialogue to say, right? Because I jumped from assistant,
Yeah.
I skipped associate, went straight to a civil because of whatever reasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to say it, and
Okay.
it really just takes like analyzing like, okay, like what were the actual steps so that I can create a comprehensive story rather than going in with the assumption that you guys know the process.
Yeah.
Right.
Because relating back to what Roshana had said, we're storytelling. You're telling your story,
Yeah.
and you're telling
Yeah.
them, like from here, your biggest factor is that you are port grown, and
Yeah.
you know the organization. So that's the kind of implicit bias that you want to give them, but you don't want to kind of go into it like, oh, like I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. You want to give them a full story without any detail, and you want to like show them I am the right candidate for this. This is my background.
Okay.
Right.
And then I know I do highlight in there, and I still have it now because from that video to now, I've kind of improvised my response, and I'm like, okay, I didn't like that. I went back so many times, right? I'm like, I don't like how it sounded. I even went back and I kept saying, a lot early on, the first few times. So I'm like, even here, I think I did say it. I think the second or third question, I went back to listen to the videos, and I'm like, no, like you gotta stop saying those things. And just try to be direct, right? But back to what I wanted to say was I highlighted in there about the I know we don't have it no more, but back in the day we had these, Employee of the Year nominations, and I was nominated twice. I don't know if that matters, but I think at least to me it feels like at that time it did because of the civil assistant jumping from civil assistant to the civil engineering. I did kind of earn those nominations at that time, and just my work ethic. So I kind of wanted to be like stated there. I don't know if it's relevant, or what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Lance.
I think it can be relevant,
Okay.
but again, we have to align it with how we can be chronological with it,
Okay.
right? So, did you earn that as an associate, an assistant?
It was
Like-
yeah, it was as an assistant.
Okay, yeah. So you could put that in the part like briefly,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
just to talk about it because like that's what we mean by like just brief about your
Yeah.
intro. So
High
you started
level.
off as an intern.
Yeah.
You talk about that. After you were an intern, you were an assistant civil engineer, where you collaborated on like X and Y, and over like
During
As a-
that time.
yeah, during that time you were nominated twice for what was it, Employee of the Year?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then you move on to
To the next thing.
Yeah.
to the next
Okay.
thing essentially. So see
Yeah.
there, we're going in that chronological order rather than just kind of throwing it at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you're putting like glitter on something to make it look better.
Yeah.
But we want to wrap it up
Okay.
and make it a bow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not important, but
Yeah.
the timing of it is important because you
Yeah.
don't want to just sound like you're procrastinating on telling them. You want to give them that comprehensive understanding of this is what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, you definitely want it to be relevant to that time frame in that position because like you said, it hasn't been around for a while. So talking about it at the end is like so,
Yeah.
right? But you do want to highlight it because it is relevant to your time at that point in that position that you were in.
Yeah.
So but do it briefly and just because you don't want to lose people
Yeah.
in that, and it's like, okay, but tell me why you want to be. Always go back to the question they're asking, right?
Yeah.
It's tell me who you are, tell me about your experience and your education, and why you're interested in this position. Typically, it's going to be something like those.
Yes.
That first question is something like that.
Yeah.
So always thinking about how can I tell you what I've done and what I know and how it's relevant to why I want to move into this position that I'm
Okay.
applying for,
Okay.
right? Because that's the bow. The bow is what do I have to offer from what the knowledge and the education and my skill set? What can I bring to the table to make me the best candidate for this position that I'm applying for, right? So that's why it's important to just highlight that then and don't throw it in at the end because it's confusing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, great and wonderful, but what does that have to do with this,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
you just want to think of it like that.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions for this first part?
No, I mean, I think just gotta go back to the drawing board because I was kind of leaving things out, but you guys are giving me the feedback on just the chronological order of how I became to be where I'm at right now and why I'm the best fit, right? So,
Do you want to try it? No pressure with us though. You want to try to give the answer again?
sure, I'll try my best.
Yeah, no, that's what this is for. It's practice, right?
Yeah.
So you can see and we could give you direct feedback right now if you want to do that.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Lance, I don't see the question. I think it's covered. Can you ask?
Yeah, I can ask the question.
Cool.
Let's see here. So we appreciate your
Good
interest.
morning, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Sorry about that. We appreciate your interest in this position and want to learn more about your qualifications and interests. Please take a couple minutes to highlight your career and experience as it relates to this position, and tell us why you're interested.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to interview for this position. My name is Angel Palma. I'm currently a senior civil engineer here at the Port of Long Beach. So my career started here at the port in 2011 as an intern. While interning here, I earned my bachelor's degree in civil engineering. A little after that, I transitioned into a full-time position, which was the civil engineering assistant role. I started working on more challenging assignments. I started right away working on drafting and preparing change orders and board memos, which I earned the respect and earned the respect of my supervisor, which led on to more responsibilities. At the same time as I was growing professionally while working here, I decided to go back to school, and I earned my master's degree in civil engineering. And around the same time, I also passed my professional civil engineering license. Around that same time, my supervisor nominated me not once but twice in a couple back-to-back years for Employee of the Year. These nominations meant a lot to me because it kind of reflects on my work ethic, professionalism, dedication, and willingness to help. So I always take great pride in the work that I do and also in representing the organization. A little after that, I got promoted to I jumped from being a civil engineering assistant to a civil engineer. So I did a pretty good step where my responsibilities increased. I started managing my own projects, and a little bit after that, I started working on more complex projects. I've worked on, over the past 15 years, I've worked on some of the most complicated projects that include some warfront redevelopment projects, street improvements, and bike path, which was our very first federal funded project, and now my on-dock rail yard. So in my current role as a senior civil engineer, I lead a team in managing our first rail dock project of an 8-year program. And a lot of the responsibilities that I've had before I've kind of implemented into these teams that I kind of lead now. And I try to help to mentor them. I support them in any way possible. I lead them, and it's gotten me into this role now. So I'm interested in this position because I feel that I've been performing many of the responsibilities of this role, and that includes leading high performance teams, working and collaborating with different stakeholders, delivering complex projects, and also sorry, yeah, moving on, sorry. Another thing too is I think with my work ethic, my dedication, and sorry, it just threw me off. Finish off. Yeah, sorry, I just kind of blanked that right now. Yeah, sorry.
No,
I
it's
gotta
okay,
practice.
Angel.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's why I wanted you to do it
Okay.
because so you can see like kind of where the little
Yeah.
pieces you're struggling with. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Lance.
Yeah, I think really, we're going back into that chronological order.
Okay.
I know you wanted to mention that you were that you received that award. I didn't think you mentioned it.
Okay.
So, as review and a little homework, right? So we want to first off basically write down the chronological order that you had, and write out all your responsibilities and
Okay.
condense it.
Okay.
Condense it to be as concise and like as effective for communication as possible, and review that. Tell it to maybe people in your family. Like just do this essentially elevator pitch for
Yeah.
yourself, an intro over and over and over again
Yeah.
because interviews take practice.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it after like in this session all at once, and that's okay. It's really just about understanding that you need to just practice it, and so that you don't lose that train of thought within the interview. But other than that, it got better after like going into the chronological order.
Yeah.
But you really just need to practice
Yeah.
what did I exactly do, and kind of just like memorize that because you've been here for a while, so it can kind of get lost in that. But yeah, I would just write it down, as long as you would like it, and then make it concise, make it short, and
Yeah.
make it effective enough to be communicated, and then begin practicing it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the plan of action that I would take after this.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And making sure when you're saying like projects, be specific about the projects, right? If you're working on these big projects, talk about. So even if you got to go back to your notes to see what the exact name of the
Okay.
project was and what the budget of it was, that type of this is a management
Yeah.
position. That type of stuff matters,
It,
right?
it just.
So,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
It just threw me off because I was already thinking like, okay, I already had it like I've been practicing better version than what I had here right in the video. So when I was trying to go through the chronological order, I was like just kind of going with the flow, like with on the fly without
Yeah.
practicing, right? So I was like, that's why I was like, oh man, like the structure wasn't there just because I'm like, okay, like trying to go in
That's
order, but then I
okay.
missed on a lot of things. And for the projects though, because that's kind of what threw me off because I should I mention the way I have it is like a paragraph with the history of like, hey, I worked on these hard, complex projects and the dollar amount, right? But I've kind of like in each step, kind of like worked in different projects. So like kind of incorporate those in each.
Because you want to show your progression.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
But without being just to highlight one big project on each. So as an assistant, you did this. As a civil engineer, and then get into what you're doing right now, because
Got it.
that's most relevant. Your most relevant work right now. So
Yeah.
as a senior civil engineer, I'm currently working on fill in the blank, and this is what I'm doing, and this is why I want this. Because of this is why I want to move on
Yeah.
for this
Okay.
position, right? That's what you kind of want to do.
Got
You
it.
don't want to you want to highlight it because that's what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be like, you worked on all these projects. Why aren't you mentioning your projects?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's harder when you're internal because
Yeah.
it's like you didn't
Yes.
mention that. Why
Yeah.
didn't you mention that? And that's kind of where you could get lost a little bit. So
Yeah.
those details do matter,
Okay.
especially when you're going into like applying for management positions, because you need something that's measurable and tangible of like, okay, what makes you qualified and what makes you think you can handle the next step,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So keep it chronological, but you need to almost make an outline
Yeah.
because your whole career has been here at the port, which is cool. But for each piece, like what did I work on, and just
Yeah.
highlight something on each one, or your biggest accomplishment. How you highlight that?
Yeah,
Because this
okay.
is like like Lance said, you're pitching yourself. This is your
Yeah.
elevator pitch. Like,
Yeah.
because a lot of times once that first question doesn't go well, it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
downhill because you
Oh, yeah.
lose your momentum and you lose your confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. Quick question
And
before
then
we
if
move on.
anything,
Oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead,
on.
Lance.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you don't need to memorize all of this. I'll send you a brief email of
Oh,
like
okay.
essentially.
No, I
We'll give you
appreciate it.
home.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
we'll give
thank
you
you.
homework. We'll like, it's something for you to practice and
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
out. So I'll send you an email of like essentially like what you should be doing to prepare
Yeah.
yourself.
And yeah, over this whole weekend, I mean, I just been kind of going hard, like try to remember 15 years of stuff that I've done and like examples of difficult situations and complex issues. I'm like dissecting all that and trying to write it down. Like, okay, this is what happened, right? And like, so now like this whole, process now is just practicing on the delivery and making sure. And on that is like, these questions are really long, some of them, right? So like, typically, I don't want to like. Is it okay to like write it down and repeat the question? Because I don't think they're gonna give you the questions, right? Like if it's in person, right? They're not gonna like, hey, here's a question. Like I know in the past I've been in panels and everything where we do provide the questions and everything, but I'm guessing they're not providing the question. It's okay to repeat the question every time and make sure you capture everything before you even speak. Is that okay?
Do you mean like asking them to repeat the question?
Yeah, multiple
Um,
times or
y- yeah, you can. So what I would honestly advise is just bring a notebook,
yeah, that's what I
and
plan
then
on doing.
prior to that, just ask them, hey, is it okay if I take a couple notes? And then as they're asking the question, just write it down so you can look back to refer on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you don't want to keep asking them, can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Because if you're allowed to have the notes, because you want to keep that conciseness.
Yeah.
We don't know what the questions are going to be, and we
Right.
don't know what they will be, but it's essentially just like giving yourself like ammo of like each decision. I know we're running a little shorter. We're about to run out of
Yeah.
time, so I want to go over kind of just like next steps.
Okay, for sure.
Essentially like what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Typically people struggle with the first question the most, which is why like it takes this much time. But we'll send you a brief email or like a summary email as well.
Okay.
Write down your entire career from when you started as an intern in as much detail as possible, because I can tell that you're a very detail oriented person. You want to give specifics.
Yeah.
So write that down in chronological order. And then after looking at it in chronological order, cross out anything that is going to be essentially extra. Any words that are going to be extra, anything that isn't like you feel after looking at the bulletin, do I really need to tell the panel this? After that, review it, see if it is concise enough, see if it encaptures everything without explaining too much, and then practice talking about it.
Okay.
That's really the most important thing. And the main highlights that you want to give for your pitch is your leadership. You don't have to say I'm a hard worker. You tell them what made you a hard worker, what projects made you a hard worker, rather than just constantly saying I'm a hard worker. And the second thing is also, talking about specifics, but not being too specific. I think when you talk about specifics, but try to be too specific, that's the part where your brain kind of just like
Yeah.
stops, because
Yeah.
you're trying to like pull up all these numbers.
Yeah.
And while, the panel can appreciate you being super specific, it can actually be a weakness due to you just trying to like basically like create these like calculations in your head, like, oh, how much was this actually? How much?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. If you don't know it, you don't know it. But
Yeah.
if you practice and you do know the actual numbers, I would put that on the review as well. But take the time to just write everything out, be able to practice. And yeah, I'll send you a summary as well, just so if you have any questions, you can get back to me,
For sure.
and we can talk about it.
Yeah. No, appreciate it. It's a lot of good feedback.
And I know we're 1 minute. Just aside from this piece, just making sure you're familiar with different type of. They're going to ask about communication. So talk about how your communication style is. Talk about conflict resolution. Like have these scenarios ready.
Yeah.
right? Because interviews move so fast.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to be able to you've had a long career, and a conflict, of course, doesn't have to be somebody getting into it. Like a conflict could just be a scheduling conflict
Yeah.
or a project or something. But bottom line is making sure you have these examples ready.
Yeah.
So that's why Lance said the first thing to do is to do your whole like kind of chronological, and
Yeah.
then you could pull examples from all of these. Like, okay, here's a conflict piece, and here's a communication piece. Just making sure these are key things, because you got to go back
Yeah.
to the bulletin, look at what the bulletin is asking for, and see, where can I talk about this, where can I
Yeah.
talk about that, and kind of have those in your back pocket, because
Yeah.
again, you don't know what the interview questions are, but you know, like, okay, I know I can speak to this, I know I can speak
Yeah.
to that, and that'll kind of help guide you and help you prepare, studying that bulletin to know how to speak to it.
Yeah. I have a list already of like scenarios and everything, and
Good.
trust me, I've been highlighting that bulletin. I've been like,
Good.
I've touched
Good.
this, and yeah. So I've been doing some good homework. I just need to
Good,
practice on my
good.
delivery and everything. So
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
okay. Like Lance said, it'll take time. It's not
Yeah.
something. And again, you're human. It's okay. Just breathe.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a robot. We don't expect you to come in there talking like a robot, but
Yeah.
just being confident and speaking to your knowledge base in which you know that you're capable of doing.
okay, I appreciate it. Appreciate all the feedback.
No problem.
Of course. And then I'll send you a brief summary, Angel, of kind of like what you can do after this, and then feel free to reach out to me if you have any more questions. Okay.
Yeah, for sure, Lance. Yeah, hopefully
All right.
you feel better.